All right, I'm going to go so fast through these. So these are important maps that you should know what they are about. We've seen all of these in class before. So 1492 to the 1600s, this is time period 1, the Columbian Exchange. This is the transfer of plants, animals, culture, language, humans, disease, technology between America, Europe, Africa, Asia after 1492 and after colonization is set up in the New World. It super changes the ecosystem of North America, the economy of both the Americas and the Old World. It sets up that New World, Old World kind of society. The European livestock comes to the New World. So Native Americans get horses and domesticated cattle. The transfer of crops like maize, potatoes, and tomatoes end up in the Old World. They come from the New World, they go to the Old World, and that stabilizes their diet, diversifies their diet, gives them a longer living lifespan, less sickness. On the other end, sicknesses spread to the New World, to the Native Americans, specifically smallpox, that devastate their population, get rid of entire cultures and languages and people groups, because up to 90% of natives die due to their lack of immunity to European diseases. So the exchange kind of is the beginning of globalization, which we have nowadays, which we're very used to. But it also contributed to colonialism and the exploitation of millions of natives who their culture is not around anymore because of it. All right, so moving forward to the Treaty of Paris, 1763. This is time period 3. This is after the French and Indian War, or the 7 Years' War between Britain, France, and it's all happening in the New World. This is Britain plus colonists versus French plus Indians, and it kind of changes the map of North America. So North America used to be French territory, Spanish territory, British American colonies with some who owns what? But take a look at the map on the right side. All of a sudden, the British own everything. And they set that everything from the Atlantic seaboard all the way to the Mississippi River. And then we'll get to Louisiana Purchase here in a second. So basically, this marks the beginning of the British own where we live. The British own North America. British dominance. And we get that line of the Proclamation of 1763. You see that red line right there? That is basically saying colonists don't move past that line because we don't want to have to protect you against Native Americans, and that pissed the colonists off, and they're going to be not happy about that because they fought in the French Indian War with the British for that land. They feel like they deserve it and they should be able to colonize past that line, and that's going to begin the tension with the British, plus all the extra taxes after the French and Indian War. Okay, all right, that is pre-revolution. Post-revolution, time period 4, we have the Louisiana Purchase of 1803. It was a land deal between the United States and a dying Napoleonic French Empire. The U.S. acquired, I'm going to say bunches and bunches of acres. I have no idea, probably millions. West of the Mississippi River. They bought it for $15 million, which is 3 cents or less an acre. It was a crazy price because Napoleon was just trying to make money. It goes from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains, and it doubles the size of the United States, paves the way for settlement out west. It's going to be untouched for a while. Not untouched, but not as encouraged for quite some time. It begins that early westward expansion. We won't get later westward expansion until time period 6. Thomas Jefferson sends Lewis and Clark. But the whole idea behind the Missouri Compromise was is it constitutionally acceptable for Thomas Jefferson, the president, to make this purchase? And he basically said look, I'm a strict constructionist, but for a hot second, can I be a loose constructionist? Buy this because it's good for the country, and then I promise I'm going to go back to being a strict constructionist. And that's basically what he did. And that set the stage for a manifest destiny and territorial expansion. All right, moving into time period 5, the Mexican Cession. It is the territory that was given up by Mexico after the end of the Mexican-American War. So Texas had kind of already declared independence from Mexico, and then they were knock, knock, America, we want to join. And America was okay, maybe. And then Mexico and Texas were fighting a war, and we jumped in. Okay, and we got Texas. Texas was now a U.S. state because of white planters who had moved to Texas. So Mexican-American War ends with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, 1848. And Mexico gives up a bunch of this land, California, Nevada, Utah, parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, like a bunch of it. And America pays them like $15 million, which is like almost nothing for this amount of land. So this is like in less than 40 years, just like massive land deals for America. However, this is the jumping point for the Civil War. We get all this territory. Boom. What's going to happen to the expansion of slavery? And so the Mexican Cession, we kind of blame it for really sparking the Civil War because it fuels that tension of, okay, we have all this new territory. Are we going to do what? Are we going to allow slavery? Are we going to outlaw it completely? Are we going to allow popular sovereignty? Are we going to have a free soil kind of idea where slavery can exist where it is but can't expand? So boo Mexican Cession. Moving forward. Great Migration, time period 7. Great Migration is a movement of African Americans from the South to cities in the North and West. This is 1920s, technically, like all the way up to the 1970s, if you want to go that far. Why are they doing this? Search for better jobs, search for better wages and jobs, search for different types of jobs, not just purely agricultural. Escape from racial discrimination, escape from violence and lynchings. Like millions of African Americans relocate to cities like Chicago, Detroit, New York, Philadelphia, even Cincinnati and Louisville. We get our black population in those cities because of the Great Migration. It also will fuel the Harlem Renaissance in New York. It will fuel the civil rights movement growing in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. All right, last map is time period 8, the interstate highway system in 1965. Nope, scratch that, 1956, sorry. Dwight D. Eisenhower, I like Ike, was his cute little like slogan. I love Eisenhower. He wanted an interstate highway system that would span the whole United States, like a bajillion miles. I actually only think it's like 50,000 miles of interstate is laid across the United States. And the goal was connect cities so that industry can connect between cities. And that also would help the military connect between cities because we're in the middle of a Cold War. But it also has some like agricultural issues. People are migrating to the Sun Belt because air conditioning has been invented. So to connect the like largely unconnected South to all the other places, let's have an interstate system. And we directly benefit from this, and we still do to this day. Okay, bye.